So as of right now, we are waiting a couple of things from Judge Netburn regarding the Ripple versus the SEC case, including what John Deaton, the outside attorney going after the SEC, is waiting for and what he's been saying on Twitter about what the SEC is attempting to do to him, which is essentially block him from giving his opinion on what XRP holders are thinking when they're buying XRP to the judge. So I'm going to tell you what the SEC's deadline is to come up with their objections and when we might expect an answer from the judge. And speaking of XRP, OnXRP, which is actually a cryptocurrency, it's actually an ecosystem called OnXRP, got its first major centralized exchange listing. I'm going to tell you which exchange they are actually listed on and what are some of the things that you can look out for if you're a fan of the XRP ledger. And Bitcoin's been hovering right around or just under $30,000 for a while now, and a lot of people think that the local bottom could be in. Well, I'm going to tell you what billionaire Tim Draper just said about some crazy Bitcoin predictions, and I'm not talking about what the local I'm not talking about what the local low is. I'm talking about what he thinks is going to drive Bitcoin adoption and the price prediction that he says is going to be coming very soon. And speaking of Bitcoin, the Fear and Greed Index is at its lowest point that it's been at in years. And that is a 10. That's right, on a scale of 0 being the most fearful and 100 being the most greedy, it is a 10 in terms of what the market sentiment thinks about Bitcoin. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now on this channel, we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, but I'm also covering cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind community. Also, if you do three things, I'd really appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button, watch this video all the way to the end, and of course, check out my Patreon, link in the description below. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Okay, so while that Bitcoin greed and fear index is sitting at a 10, a lot of people are calling that a buy signal, or essentially a bottom signal, and that Bitcoin is only going to go up from here. Well, it doesn't only go up, but the point is this could be a good time to actually look at owning more Bitcoin or crypto if you believe the altcoins are going to go right along with it. And as I was making this video earlier, it just touched 31,000 and pulled back a little bit since then, but it's definitely going on a little bit of a run. So coming into a holiday week, I'm really interested to see what it's going to be doing, because typically Mondays are volatile, and coming up in the next week or two, we're going to be seeing some more numbers from the United States government in terms of jobs, in terms of inflationary data and things like that, that tend to send these markets into a tizzy. So all eyes are going to be on Bitcoin, especially if it continues to run above $30,000. All right, so let's get into what billionaire Tim Draper said about his Bitcoin prediction. He was recently on an interview with Scott Melker, who is actually on Twitter and on YouTube. He goes by the Wolf of All Streets. And he was interviewing Tim. They were talking about Bitcoin. Tim Draper has a little bit of a different perspective than somebody, say, Michael Saylor, who is, of course, the ultimate Bitcoin maxi, and basically says Bitcoin is digital gold, the ultrasound hard money. You get the idea. Well, Tim Draper says Bitcoin's going to be worth a lot of money. In fact, his prediction is it's going to be over $250,000 very soon. In fact, he thinks as adoption is taken up and Bitcoin is actually used as a means of transactions, that could send the price skyrocketing way past $250,000. What he was actually talking about is using Bitcoin for retail purchases. He says right now only approximately 1 in 12 people who hold crypto are women. And he says eventually that number is going to be 1 in 6, and eventually that number is going to be 1 to 1. It'll be 50-50. And his point was that since women do the majority of retail spending, that's what's going to be driving more businesses to operate under the Bitcoin standard, to accept Bitcoin, to save money. They can save on transaction fees. And he thinks that when businesses realize it, that is going to be driving huge adoption. And he also agrees with what MasterCard CEO just said regarding SWIFT. And that is in about 5 years, SWIFT won't even exist. Now, if you were an XRP holder, that's some good news, because XRP and the XRP ledger, of course, they've been slated to be competitors of SWIFT, and they have been going after SWIFT's marketplace for the greater part of the last 10 years. So now when you see major credit card CEOs talking about SWIFT not existing in the next 5 years because there's going to be cryptocurrency replacement, I think you can get the point that XRP is going to have a huge part in that. And real quick, before we get into what John Deaton is doing and what we're waiting for in the Ripple case, I did want to mention OnXRP, being listed on a centralized exchange. Now, OnXRP is actually an entire ecosystem. I talked about this several videos ago, in which you can follow everything that's going on the XRP ledger, everything from NFTs to trading all of the different tokens on its own decentralized exchange OnXRP, as well as they do some promotions for things like the Sologenic NFT marketplace, in which Culture NFTs, who I've mentioned on this channel many times, who has the Michael Jackson NFTs, they also do some promotion for. So this is one that to keep an eye on, especially if you're a fan of the XRP ledger and everything that it's interoperable with. So they've actually been listed on an exchange. It's actually starting on May 31st. So if you're watching this video, probably tomorrow, on the centralized exchange known as Bitmart. Now, they actually chose the centralized exchange as their very first one. So if you want to go check it out and see what it's going to be trading for, keep your eye on Bitmart or go sign up for an account there. Okay, so now let's talk about what John Deaton's doing and what we're waiting for. So obviously, if you've been following the case, the Ripple versus the SEC case, everybody wants to know what John Deaton's going to be doing, because as of right now, he submitted a letter to the judge to be able to present his case in terms of him being an expert and giving his expert opinion. The SEC does not want that. They want their own expert to be considered for why they think XRP holders were only buying XRP in terms of it being a security, whereas they weren't just buying it to be an actual user. So nonetheless, we are waiting until June 7th. That's the deadline that the SEC has to come up with objections, because they don't want to allow John Deaton to become the expert on why XRP holders actually bought XRP, even though the SEC's guy most likely never spoke to an XRP holder. June 7th, that's probably the date that the SEC is going to take it right up to the deadline, just like they do with everything else. Then we're going to have to wait for a week, possibly 2 weeks, for Judge Neprin to come up with her decision on this and whether she's going to allow John Deaton to submit his expert opinion regarding XRP holders. So this is something that I think is incredibly important to the case. I think it's almost as important as the Bill Hinman emails that we've been covering that the SEC is trying to keep hidden. I think this is probably up there, probably the second most important thing, because as Jeremy Hogan pointed out in some of the other cases, the judges actually take these expert opinions into consideration a lot more than some people think. And finally, I wanted to talk about something that I've been talking about on this channel for a while now, and that is doing some cryptocurrency trading. I've actually been experimenting with it. I'm doing some trading tracking programs, some strategies that I've been using, using leverage trading, all of that. And I'm actually planning some content in which I'm going to be showing some of my live trades, some of my results, both the good and the bad, what I've learned. And I wanted to mention something because I just saw this from Bybit, which is actually the exchange that I use for leverage trading. They recently announced that they're going to be adding the XRP 3x long and XRP 3x short to their offerings, which basically means that if you are taking leverage, let's say you are taking a 50x leverage, instead of just 50x on XRP, you can take 50x on the XRP long if you think the price of XRP is going to go up, or XRP 3 short if you think it is going to go down. And so you can do the math. XRP 3 times a 50x leverage is essentially 150x leverage. So it's definitely something that I'm going to be playing around with. I don't know if they will give all leverage to a new token which is already essentially leveraged. That's why it's a 3x. It's why it's a 3x leverage token already. But it's definitely something that I'm going to be making a video on, because trading XRP is one of the more interesting tokens, because sometimes it is volatile, sometimes it's not at all. But in any case, if you want to stick around for that content, make sure you subscribe to the Late Night Grind, and also follow me on Twitter as I talk about a lot about these topics that I talk about on these videos. You can have a conversation with me there about it. And if you want to follow along with all the rest of these stories, make sure you do so by joining the Late Night Grind community. And thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.